Menzies for Rebel News here at the Ontario Court of Justice in Lindsay, Ontario, and we're following up the first appearance of Jeremy McDonald. You might remember Mr. McDonald. He was the victim of that horrific August 18th home invasion in which he fought back, only to find himself being charged with aggravated assault and assault with a weapon. But before I go on, folks, can you do me a favor? If you want to see castle law changed in Canada so that citizens can actually defend themselves in their own homes with lethal force if necessary, please go to castlelawnow.com. That's castlelawnow.com. And also, we know Jeremy McDonald was victimized on that day in August 18th in the wee hours of the morning. We don't want him being re-victimized by the justice system. As they say, even if he's found not guilty, the process is the penalty. So we are crowdfunding his legal fees. Can you kick in a buck or two? I mean, that would be so appreciated. And the website for that, folks, is savejeremy.com. That's savejeremy.com. And just stand by. We are going to interview Mr. McDonald's lawyer. That would be Steve Norton. And we'll get his assessment of what went down here in the courthouse today.
It was a fairly standard first appearance. Disclosure becomes available around this time. So we've entered into a few preliminary discussions with the Crown's office. We'll have a chance to review the disclosure. Again, we maintain confidence that in due course, Mr. McDonald will be exonerated. It's just everyone wants to make sure they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's, per se, and making sure this is given due care and diligence. The public outcry is, what is reasonable in the context of a home invasion? And we see, I believe the Conservatives tabled proposition to mend the criminal code to basically open up the reasonableness component to when it's the context of a home invasion, that all force is reasonable. I think the public appetite is ripe for that. We are seeing a lot more of these home invasions. I was commenting with someone here we were discussing, there was a lady a few weeks ago lit on fire in a home invasion. Other people, no one should be subject to this. It's unfortunate. And how it plays out in terms of changing the law, I don't know. We will see. But again, I'm fairly confident that justice and exoneration await Mr. McDonald in the path ahead. This is an everyone issue. It's not Conservatives or Liberals or NDPs or anyone. This is an everyone issue because we all have homes and we all want to feel safe with our families and we go to bed at night.
And how is Jeremy McDonald holding up these days, Mr. Norton?
He's getting by. It was a traumatic ordeal, as anyone would be, and it shatters one's sense of security, and it's really unfortunate. But he's getting through. He's looking forward to putting this behind him, and getting on with his life. It always feels nice when the kind of people are supportive of you. And as mentioned, it's a traumatic ordeal for Mr. McDonald, but it certainly puts a little wind in one's sails. So thank you for everyone for their support and their positive engagement with the matter.
Well, please send our best to Mr. McDonald. Let me ask you, if you were the copper on the beat here when this home invasion happened, would you have filed those charges?
Personally, no, because we were trained and told, and it's the law, officers are an independent agent of the Crown, which means me to the King.
Okay.
And you can decide yourself. Nobody can order you to charge them. Nobody, not even the chief or the attorney general or anybody. You can decide and say no. Now, the downside is the chief of police here in Kawartha, he could have said, I disagree. Any other officer could have charged them. But personally, I would say it was reasonable. I'm thinking he grabbed the first thing he could grab. If he had a chair or a frying pan and could have clobbered the guy with that. In the moment, you're in bed sleeping. If any citizen, me included, I want my next breath and I want to live and I want to travel. And you don't know. And an armed intruder, it's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned to charge him with anything. Anything he did was reasonable as far as I'm concerned.
Here's an important thing, Rick, especially given your experience with being a police officer. What is the definition of unreasonable or unnecessary force? I can't peg that down. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're allowed to use reasonable force to repel an attack on your person. And that's where the law or the judge or jury will have to decide whether it was reasonable or not. If he had, say, left the house and ran down the street, and Mr. McDonald chased him down the street and stabbed him half to death, that might be considered unreasonable, because as soon as the threat is gone or dissipated, or when I was on the job, I wrestled with guys fighting because he attacked me. Well, I used to tell the court, I have to win.
Yes.
I'm a law officer. You're dumb enough to attack me. I have to win. If he gets a gun off me and a week later shoots somebody walking down the street, they're going to say, what a stupid cop would lose his gun. You have no choice. So you use as much force as necessary. And then I'd tell the judge, I've had many cases like this, and said, after he complied and I had him under control, I treated him like a gentleman.
What enrages you about this case that you would come down here with your signs and show support for Mr. McDonald?
Just the fact that my home is my castle.
Yeah.
And if somebody wants to come in uninvited and with a weapon, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to defend myself. And I shouldn't be the one that's being arrested.
And I might say most women are 5 foot tall. And if a guy my size breaks in, I'm a big man, and I'm 76 years old, but I still know how to fight, and I know how to defend myself, and I know what I would do.
I'll take your word for it.
But most women, and even my wife, she'd be scared out of her mind. And you're right, a lot of them would scream and yell and cry, and if it's a man, generally men are stronger and bigger, and she could be raped like men do.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, and on that point, I think there was one woman that spoke for millions of Canadians, the vast majority of people, that being Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, who said words to the effect of, hey, you don't want to get hurt or worse, don't break into somebody's house at 3 a.m.
Well, if you don't want to get shot or beaten up, don't break into people's houses. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well, that's what that's what I say here. If he hadn't broken in, he wouldn't have ended up in the hospital.
Yeah. And is that really what has to be done, regardless of how this case pans out, guys? Change to the laws. Pierre Poilievre wants to reform the Castle Law that would allow up to lethal force for homeowners fighting back against an invader. Because right now, the vagueness of the law, reasonable and unnecessary, and so on and so forth, it looks like you're on the hook if you fight for your life. It's crazy.
I agree. It needs to be reformed. I don't know what the final product should be, but we should have domain control over our domain.
If it happens to me, I'd rather be tried by 12 than carried by 6. and I'd be squealing if they sent me to prison. If I killed somebody in my house, in this situation, he happened to die, so what? And I'd say, well, we'll gladly go to prison. You're going to put a decent, law-abiding citizen in jail for defending his property and his house?
Folks, are you sick and tired of the authorities thinking that we should just be complicit victims during a home invasion? Well, we sure do. Please, if you can, go to castlelawnow.com. That's castlelawnow.com and sign the petition. As well, we are not going to allow Jeremy McDonald to be re-victimized by the justice system. Please go to savejeremy.com. That's savejeremy.com. And if you're able to, please kick in a couple of bucks for his legal defense. Thank you.